Hi, I'm Amanda, a 34-year-old interior designer with a passion for creating beautiful spaces. The soft clinking of dishes and low conversation filled our dining room. Eric, my husband, poured another glass of wine for his dad, John, while his mom, Mary, praised the lamb I had spent the afternoon preparing. The mood was light and almost festive, but I could feel tension building as the annual family vacation discussion was about to start. So, where are we thinking of going this year? Paris? Tokyo? Eric's younger sister Lucy asked excitedly. Peter, the eldest sibling, was busy on his phone, probably looking at flights and hotels. He glanced up and said, "How about somewhere tropical, like Bali or Thailand?" I saw an opening and cleared my throat. Actually, I was thinking you could all come to my vacation home on the coast. It's peaceful, spacious, and right on the beach, a perfect getaway. The room went quiet. John and Mary exchanged looks before Mary responded, her tone polite but dismissive. "Oh, that's a lovely idea, Amanda, but we were thinking of something more exotic this year. Your place is wonderful, but the kids love exploring new countries." Eric agreed, without realizing how it stung. "Yeah, Amanda's place is great for a weekend, but imagine the adventure overseas." I felt hurt but hid it behind a smile. "Of course, I understand, just thought I'd offer." Peter finally looked up from his phone. "Let's vote, then. All for going abroad?" Hands shot up around the table, except mine. "And all for Amanda's place?" I raised my hand, half-heartedly. It was the only one. "Well, that's settled. Thailand it is," Lucy exclaimed, clapping her hands. The rest of the dinner was a blur as they excitedly talked about the trip I was no longer part of. Under the table, Eric squeezed my hand and whispered, "Thanks for offering, honey, we'll go another time, just the two of us." As they continued talking about temples and food, I quietly withdrew into my thoughts. I had offered a piece of my world, only for it to be turned down. The message was clear, I was good enough to host their dinners, but not their vacations. After dinner, when everyone left and Eric went to his study, I stayed behind to clean up. The family's rejection felt personal, like a judgment on my place among them, but I decided not to let it affect the life Eric and I had built together. They might not fully accept me, but I wouldn't let that define my worth or the love I had for my husband. As I stood alone in the quiet, I realized it might be time to stop trying so hard to win their approval and start living on my own terms. I wasn't sure how things would unfold, but as I turned off the lights and headed to bed, a small, defiant part of me was already planning a summer they wouldn't forget at my beautiful, yet unwanted, beach house. A few days after that family dinner, John called. His usual calm voice now had a touch of desperation. "Hey Amanda, we've hit a snag with our Thailand trip. There was a mix-up with the dates, and everything is fully booked because of a festival. We were wondering if we could take you up on your offer to use your beach house." I paused, still feeling the sting from how they dismissed my offer before, but I was already thinking of a plan. "Oh, that's unfortunate," I said, "but sure, the house is available. I'd be happy to host you all. You're a lifesaver, Amanda, we really appreciate it." After hanging up, I turned to Eric, who was just as surprised as I was. "Now they want to stay at our beach house, after voting it down?" I said, smiling. "Looks like fate has its own plans." My mind was already busy planning a few surprises for their stay. The following weekend, I went to the beach house under the guise of preparing it for the family, but instead, I installed hidden cameras in the common areas, not to spy on them, but to catch their reactions to the small inconveniences I had in store. I set the thermostat to heat the house to a chilly 60 degrees, and I left a note about a problem with the hot water heater, warning them it might take a while to warm up, just giving them a taste of the adventure they wanted. I told Eric, while also programming the smart home system to flicker the lights randomly in the evenings. Eric chuckled, but I could hear the nervousness in his voice. "You're not going to make it too rough, are you? Just a little harmless fun. Let's see if they notice any difference between an exotic getaway and my boring beach house," I replied, grinning. When John, Mary, Peter, and Lucy arrived, I greeted them warmly. "Make yourselves at home. Oh, and just a heads up, the water heater can be a bit quirky. You might need to let it run for a bit to get hot water." "Thanks for letting us use the place, Amanda," Mary said, though there was a hint of reluctance in her voice, likely remembering how they rejected my offer earlier. "No problem at all. I hope you find it relaxing," I said with a smile, hiding the irony in my words. After making sure they were settled in, Eric and I excused ourselves, claiming we had urgent work projects that needed our attention back in the city. Now, it was time to see how their little vacation would play out on its own. I couldn't resist checking the live feed from the cameras. The first incident happened during their first dinner. As Peter was telling one of the family's favorite stories, the lights suddenly went out, plunging the room into confusion. Muffled curses and confused shouts filled the room until Lucy found the candles I had strategically placed in the kitchen.
Guess the house really wants us to have an authentic experience, Lucy joked, though her voice was shaky as the flickering candlelight cast uneasy shadows across her face. Over the next few days, I watched as the family struggled with each little inconvenience. John kept fiddling with the thermostat, eventually giving up and wrapping himself in a sweater I had purposely left on a chair. Mary grumbled about the unpredictable hot water, and their frustration hit a peak when they planned a day out on the water using the boat docked at the house. I had hidden the key and left a cryptic note saying it was somewhere obvious. They spent half the day searching for it, their frustration growing with every failed attempt. As I watched from a distance, I felt a mix of guilt and satisfaction. This was more than just payback, it was a lesson in humility and respect, served in a place they had dismissed so easily. The water heater's gone off again, Mary snapped, her voice filled with frustration as another cold draft swept through the house. Can someone check the thermostat? It's freezing in here, Peter grumbled, shivering as he pulled a blanket tighter around his shoulders. I've reset it 3 times already, he added. It's not working, and these lights won't stop flickering. Lucy sighed, hugging herself to stay warm, clearly worn out by the endless inconveniences. This was supposed to be a relaxing vacation. Amanda, any ideas? Mary's voice crackled over the speakerphone, a mix of irritation and hope. Oh, that's strange. Everything was working fine before you arrived, I replied, keeping my voice calm and detached, as if I wasn't responsible for the chaos. Maybe check the circuit breaker. I'll send someone over when I can, but with the storm, it might take a while. As the storm outside worsened, the family's mood grew even darker. John tried to lift everyone's spirits. Come on, let's not let this ruin the trip. How about some board games by candlelight? Great idea, Dad, except the games are in the basement, which is flooding. Peter shot back sarcastically, making Mary groan in frustration. The storm outside intensified, rattling the windows and doors like it was reflecting the turmoil inside. Lucy searched for a working flashlight just as a gust of wind slammed a window shut, plunging the room into complete darkness. This is ridiculous. We should have stayed home, Mary said, her voice echoing in the pitch-black room, full of fear and frustration. Nobody could have predicted this weather. Mom, let's just make the best of it, Lucy replied, her voice strained as she finally found a weak flashlight. By the next morning, the storm was still raging. John called again, sounding desperate. Amanda, we're thinking of cutting the trip short. The power's out, and now there's a leak in the ceiling. Can you help us get out of here? I'll see what I can do. John, stay safe, and I'll update you soon, I said, feeling a mix of satisfaction and guilt. They were finally getting a taste of what it felt like to be disregarded. When I called back with news of a local who could drive them to the nearest town, the family was packed and ready to leave. Their departure was rushed and frazzled, leaving the once warm and inviting beach house in complete disarray. As their car disappeared down the storm-soaked road, the house fell silent. The cameras kept recording the empty rooms, capturing the aftermath of the week's orchestrated chaos. The family returned home with dampened spirits, leaving behind a trail of bickering and complaints that would surely echo in future awkward family gatherings. My subtle manipulations had led to a cold realization for the family, a reminder of the importance of empathy and respect. Lessons they were now learning after experiencing what they had so casually imposed on others. The dining room was warmly lit, and the table was set as if the beach house incidents were just a distant memory. As John, Mary, Peter, and Lucy settled into their seats, there was a subtle tension in the air. Their expressions showed a mix of relief and lingering stress from their abrupt vacation. Thanks for hosting dinner, Amanda. It's nice to end the trip on a positive note, John said, trying to smile, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. Absolutely, I replied cheerfully. I thought we could all use a little cheering up. I've got a surprise for everyone, some highlights from the vacation. Eric clicked the remote, and the projector came to life. The first clips were harmless, showing their arrival and initial excitement. Laughter filled the room, momentarily easing the awkwardness. But as the video progressed, the mood shifted. Footage of the flickering lights, the thermostat troubles, and their frustrated searches played on the screen. Peter's laughter faded. Wait, why did you record all this, Amanda? Just capturing some memorable moments, I said lightly, but I held their gaze, watching as the realization dawned. The last clip showed their rushed departure in the storm, leaving the room in silence. Mary was the first to speak, her voice tinged with confusion and suspicion. Amanda, was this all some kind of joke to you? It wasn't a joke, I said, my voice calm but serious. It was a lesson in what it feels like to be dismissed and disregarded, just as I was when I offered my home for the vacation. Lucy looked down, her face flushed with shame. Amanda, we didn't realize we made you feel that way.
John cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable. We're truly sorry, Amanda. It seems we've taken your kindness for granted. Seeing their genuine remorse, I softened a little, realizing that maybe they had finally understood. I appreciate that, I said. All I ask is for mutual respect. If that's not possible, then maybe we should reconsider our future gatherings. Eric, who had been quiet, finally spoke up in support. We need to make sure everyone feels valued in this family, that's non-negotiable. Mary nodded, her voice sincere. You're right, Amanda, we've learned our lesson, even if it was a hard one. Can we move forward from this? I'm willing to move forward, I replied, but remember, any future disrespect will be a deal-breaker for me. Dinner ended on a thoughtful note, with everyone reflecting on the night's revelations. As John, Mary, Peter, and Lucy said their goodbyes, their words were more heartfelt, showing a real promise to do better in the future. When I was alone with Eric, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. Standing up for yourself doesn't always feel good, but it's necessary, I said. And you did it beautifully, Eric reassured me. They'll think twice before overlooking anyone again. The evening closed with a sense of both closure and a new beginning, not just for me, but for the entire family. Respect, once ignored, was now at the forefront of everyone's mind, like a silent promise to guide all future interactions. And that's the end of our story. What do you think? Was Amanda's way of teaching her family a lesson about respect and inclusion justified, or do you think there were better ways to handle it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the story, and subscribe for more content like this. Your support means a lot.